Every day, millions of everyday items slide across glowing laser scanners in a massive blur of instant transactions. Behind that blur is a basic biological reality. We all have needs: food, water, shelter, to survive. And on top of that, we have countless wants, things we desire to make life better. Because a single person cannot possibly grow, build, and manufacture all of these necessities and luxuries themselves, we are forced to rely on an interconnected web of exchange. As 18th century economist Adam Smith observed, human prosperity directly comes from this exact process, people trading the goods and services they can't create on their own. To understand how this massive global economy actually functions, we don't need to decode complex Wall Street algorithms. We just need to look at the fundamental building blocks found right here in a simple street market. Let's isolate a single interaction, the guava cart economy. We have two essential actors: a seller holding the goods and a buyer with a desire. The primary rule of this system is that for any transaction to occur, both individuals must agree on a specific number, the price. This diagram shows what happens when the seller aggressively sets that price high, at 80 rupees. The scale immediately tips. The buyer does a quick internal calculation. The cost heavily outweighs the benefit, so they reject the offer and walk away. Without an agreed price, the system fails. The seller makes zero money, and the physical guavas are left to rot on the cart. Now let's look at this updated scale, showing a second scenario where a panicking seller drastically drops the price to just 20 rupees. The buyer is thrilled to get a bargain, but this creates a completely different point of failure. From the seller's perspective, 20 rupees means taking a loss on their labor. Their supply is instantly wiped out, leaving other potential buyers with nothing. This leads to a third scenario: negotiation. The buyer and seller communicate, pushing and pulling until they compromise at a middle ground of 40 rupees. This specific number works because it is high enough for the seller to survive and restock their cart, and low enough for the buyer to comfortably afford. Over time, this constant friction between the amount of goods offered by sellers and the amount required by buyers naturally pushes prices toward a just right equilibrium point across the entire economy. We can take this exact mechanism from the isolated guava cart and apply it to the chaotic real world to solve everyday consumer mysteries. For instance, why are vegetables sold at much cheaper prices late at night in a weekly market compared to during the day? As the day ends, the seller's supply is about to expire. To capture whatever tiny sliver of buyer demand is left before the goods spoil, they have to drop the price drastically. Or consider why heavy winter coats go on massive discount in the spring. As the weather warms up, buyer needs change. Demand drops off, forcing clothing sellers to lower their prices to clear out their inventory. Prices are not arbitrary numbers chosen by sellers in a vacuum. They are dynamic signals, constantly adjusting in real time to human behavior and environmental constraints. This dynamic isn't a modern invention. We can look back to the 16th century Hampi Bazaar to see these exact rules in action. Foreign travelers wrote accounts marveling at the prosperity of this market, documenting intense trade in everything from grains and silk to rubies and diamonds. Today, the medium of exchange has evolved from stone temples to glowing screens. Digital payments and immediate global communication simply speed up the transaction process. Whether traders are exchanging gems in an ancient empire, or you are ordering groceries on a smartphone, the invisible engine of the market remains exactly the same: the timeless human practice of connection, negotiation, and balance.